integral of f prime of x is f of x. So this is the antiderivative, or the integral of f prime. So you can think of integration as finding the antiderivative. Now let's begin our discussion with limits. So let's say that f of x is x squared minus, oh, that is a terrible looking 2. Let me do that again. So let's say it's x squared minus 4 over x minus 2. What is f of 2? Can we evaluate the function at x equals 2? Well, let's find out. So if we plug in 2, 2 squared is 4, 4 minus 4 is 0, and 0 over 0, what is that? Well, we can't figure this thing out, so that's indeterminate. Therefore, we can't evaluate the function at x equals 2. And so this is when limits become important. So if we can't find out the value of the function when x is 2, can we find out what the function will do as x approaches 2? So what happens when x is, let's say, 2.1? So if we were to plug in 2.1 into the function, you should get 4.1. Now what if we plug in a number that's even closer to 2? Let's say 2.01. Well, if we do that, this will give us 4.01. So notice that as x gets closer and closer to 2, the value of the function gets closer and closer to 4. So thus, we can use a limit expression. So we could say that the limit as x approaches 2 of x squared minus 4 over x minus 2, no, it's equal to 4. But to show your work, what you need to do is factor x squared minus 4. And when you factor it using the difference of squares method, it's x plus 2 minus times x minus 2. And so we could cancel this factor. And so we're left with the limit as x approaches 2 of x plus 2. So now we can use direct substitution. So we can replace x with 2. So this becomes 2 plus 2. And this gives us the limit, which is 4. So this tells us that as x gets closer and closer to 2, the y value, or f of x, will approach a value of 4. So even though f of 2 does not exist, the limit as x approaches 2 of the function f of x, that exists, and that's equal to 4. And so make sure you understand that limits help you to see what happens, or what happens to a function as x approaches a certain value. Now let's move on to number 2, derivatives. So how do we find the derivative of a function? The most basic rule you need to know is the power rule. The derivative of a variable raised to a constant, such as x raised to the n power, is n x raised to the n minus 1. So how do we apply that? Well, let's say if we want to find the derivative of x squared. So in this case, so it's going to be 2 times x raised to the 2 minus 1, or just 1. So we get 2x. If we want to find the derivative of, let's say, x cubed, n is 3, so it's going to be 3x to the 3 minus 1, which is 3x squared. Now, if we want to
This tutorial is class 10 math class.
or minus 1, which is 4x cubed.